Hey everybody, my name is TJ and welcome to Hoops and Holler. Today we're going to be talking about the Minnesota Timberwolves roster, and I'll kind of give my thoughts about the guys they got and talk about my expectations for them this year. So first and foremost, we're just going to run through some major guys on the team. Dante DiVincenzo was a pretty good rotational piece for them last year. He's been a good rotational piece pretty much his whole career, and I think that that's going to continue. Terrence Shannon Jr. and Rob Dillingham both started to get more and more minutes as the season went on last year and started to showcase their skill set a little bit as rotational pieces in the playoffs. I'm expecting them to get a little bit more involved in the team as time goes on this season, especially if somebody like Michael Conley goes down injured, right? Obviously, we've got Jaden McDaniels. He showed out in the playoffs last year. He's really solidified himself as a solid piece on this team. You've got Anthony Edwards, who's one of the best guards in the NBA. It's crazy to me that he's only 24 years old. He's an athletic freak. My big question with Anthony Edwards is how consistently can he shoot from three? We saw last year that his three-point percentage went up, but he would have games, especially in the playoffs, where he'd shoot like 1 of 12 from three. And I don't know if that's going to be a consistent problem with him or if that was just a pressure situation and the people around him weren't performing well enough to draw some weight off of him. But it was a problem nonetheless, and that's a question that I have. We saw people like Gordon Hayward in the past would shoot really high from beyond the arc at one point in their career, and then the next year would shoot lower, like 31%, sub-league average. And that's something that I would keep my eye on with Anthony Edwards. If he can keep it more consistently in the upper 30s, low 40s from three, he is going to be vicious to have to try and defend. He already is. That's only going to make it harder. You've got Nahshon Highland. He's an offensive guard. He can play really well. The question is he going to be able to fit into a system where Anthony Edwards is going to be the main guy with the ball in his hands, right? But he can play really well when he gets the opportunity. We saw flashes of brilliance in Denver, and that skill set probably isn't just gone. And the question is, can he earn himself a spot in the rotation? Mike Conley has been a solid starting guard in the NBA for a long time. He's been in the league for almost 20 years at this point. And I think that he's really solid. We've got Naz Reid showed us that he has an incredible ability to knock down catch and shoot threes, and he's a really good rotational sixth man type of guy. I think that Naz Reid is very important to the success of this team. If Naz Reid is shooting well off the bench, this team gets a lot harder to defend. Whenever he's not shooting well, this team gets a little bit easier. The floor shrinks a little bit for them. But he's a really important piece to spread the floor out and give some of these other guys, Anthony Edwards is a main one as well, in that to give them space to operate. You've got Rudy Gobert, who I have a hard time judging Rudy Gobert effectively because in my mind he's just repugnant on the offensive end of the ball, but he's one of the best rim protectors in the NBA, right? And has been for a long time. But his offensive skill set sometimes is just absolutely disgustingly poor. So I don't know what to think of him. If he can get his offensive skill set figured out in any fashion at all, he'll be a lot better. But as it stands, when he's playing really well defensively, he's a big addition. When he's not, he's a net negative for sure. I am not personally a big fan of Julius Randle's game. I think that he's a good player, but I don't see him really fitting in as a second option kind of guy. He did pretty well in Minnesota last year, and in the playoffs he did pretty well as a second option, but when the Flames started to dwindle for the team, he was one of the first pieces to stop knocking down his shots, and it kind of snowballed from there, right? He's always been kind of inconsistent. That's one of my questions with him, is how consistently can he perform at a reliable level? Overall, I think this team's pretty good. They've got a lot of young talent on it. Rocco Zakarsky and Leonard Miller and Enrique Freeman. They've got a lot of guys 1 year in the league or rookies that are developing behind some of these veteran leaders on the team, like Mike Conley, like the Dante DiVincenzo's of the world. And I think that this team will be certainly making the playoffs this year if they can keep healthy. I'm not sure I see them going too much further past the second round. And by that, I mean I don't think that they're getting out of the second round. I think the three main teams that I'm looking at in the Western Conference are going to be the Thunder, the Nuggets, and the Rockets, probably, depending on how well the Rockets can keep healthy, as Kevin Durant is a big offensive piece of the team, and he is quite old. I would also put Golden State ahead of Minnesota in my mind, if they can stay healthy as well. Now, Golden State is very old, so that's a big if. But if Golden State is healthy, what we saw out of them last year, post-trade deadline when they got Jimmy Butler, I would just have to put them in front of Minnesota as a favorite moving forward. But it's not impossible. Minnesota's a good team. I think that, like I said, if Anthony Edwards and Naz Reid are shooting well, if you can get high-level production out of Jaden McDaniels and Dante DiVincenzo and all these role players, if they can iron out the consistency aspect where they can play a little bit better on the road, because we saw in the playoffs that they play really well at home, but they kind of fizzled out on the road. I think that if they can figure that out, this team will be a lot harder to beat in the long run. But I don't know. I'm just a casual, I'm just telling you what I think. Why don't you tell me what you think? Let's have a conversation. If you want, feel free to leave me a comment in the comment section, and let's have a discussion. If you like the content, please like and subscribe, and I will talk to you next time. Thank you.